Hello, my friends and fellow VEDSies. Welcome to Podcast Sunday. This month, once a week, I'll be coming to you in an audio format instead of my usual video, and I'll be talking about a musical I've mentioned before on this channel, Camelot. In this mini podcast series, I hope to explain a little bit about the history of this show, its cultural legacy, how and why I came to love it, and what I think people get wrong about it. To me, as a musical theater fan and a Julie Andrews fan, Camelot was a legendary show, or maybe, more accurately, a legendary production. I was vaguely familiar with a few songs. I'd seen clips of the Ed Sullivan Show performance. But aside from that, before I saw Camelot, here's what I knew about it. 1. It had something to do with Arthurian legend. 2. The original production starred Richard Burton, Julie Andrews, and Robert Goulet. 3. Something JFK. And 4. The movie was bad. All of this to say, I was completely unprepared to fall in love with this show. I received a box set of Warner Brothers musicals for Christmas years ago. On this set are some of my all-time favorite musical films, including Singin' in the Rain, A Star is Born, Cabaret, Victor Victoria, and Little Shop of Horrors. And also, Camelot. The film, released in 1967 and directed by Joshua Logan, stars Richard Harris as King Arthur, Vanessa Redgrave as Guinevere, and Franco Nero as Lancelot. If you love this film, I love that for you. I turned it off in the first 15 minutes. But strangely determined was I to see this supposedly classic show. I decided instead to look for a filmed stage production, which is how I happened upon a taped production of the 1981 Broadway revival. This production again starred Richard Harris, 13 years later, as King Arthur, Meg Bussert as Guinevere, and Richard Muniz as Lancelot. In the first 15 minutes, I was captivated, and so I would remain for the next 2 hours. For many people, Camelot will always be Richard Burton and Julie Andrews and Robert Goulet. They think of that 1961 cast recording, and I must take a moment to say this album was an enormous success. It got a boost after the cast performed on the Ed Sullivan Show and was ultimately on the Billboard charts for 265 weeks. That's over 5 years. Or people think of First Lady Jackie Kennedy, who, in an interview with Life after her husband's assassination, described how he liked to listen to the record before bed, and particularly loved the lines, "Don't let it be forgot that once there was a spot for one brief shining moment that was known as Camelot. There'll be great presidents again," she said, "but there'll never be another Camelot again." It's an enduring and compelling legacy, a symbol of youthful hope and optimism struck by tragedy, but living on in legend. In some ways, the JFK connection has kept Camelot in the 1960s. The show is not as familiar to modern audiences, at least in my estimation, as some other shows of the period like My Fair Lady, The Sound of Music, or Gypsy. It has become something of a historical artifact. And based on the little I know about the Bartlett Sher Aaron Sorkin reimagining in 2023, people seem to think the show needs to be modernized in order to work. But I'm here to tell you there was another Camelot, one that is full of heart and drama and humor and warmth and tragedy and magic. In the coming weeks, I will tell you the story of my relationship to that Camelot at the Winter Garden Theater in 1981. Before we get any further, you might be wondering about the plot of Camelot, but lucky for you, I have conveniently put together a 10-minute supercut of the exact production I'm going to be talking about. I will link it in the description below. In short, the story of the musical Camelot is about King Arthur, his marriage to Guinevere, his friendship with Lancelot, the formation of the Round Table, and ultimately the downfall of Camelot and the Round Table at the hands of Mordred, Arthur's illegitimate son. It features a true love triangle, the kind which I think we rarely see, one wherein all 3 people love each other deeply. The main theme of the show is about striving for an ideal greater than yourself and what it means even if you fail in that endeavor. And of course, we cannot forget that Camelot also features music by Lerner and Lowe, one of our great songwriting duos in the musical theater canon. There are brilliant comedic numbers like King Arthur's I Wonder What the King is Doing Tonight or Lancelot's C'est Moi. You also have deeply moving ballads like I Loved You Once in Silence, and you have the climactic number Guinevere, which Lin-Manuel Miranda was right, that number slaps. But we will dive deeper into all of this in time. Next week, we will start with a closer look at our main characters, Arthur, Guinevere, and Lancelot. My friends and fellow VEDSies, you will hear me next Sunday to talk more Camelot, and I will see all of you tomorrow.
The silence at last was broken. We flung wide our prison door. Every joyous word of love was spoken.